It's so much going on. There are so many things that have happened because you and I missed the show on Monday. And Monday, let me tell you something, there's already a couple days before that you're not reading the news as much on the Saturday and the Sunday. So the Monday, there's already build up. Then you miss the Monday, you're here on the Tuesday, and it's a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely a build up. But on Monday, we were productive. We're busy.
Okay, that's fair.
Made another Unbox Therapy video.
Okay, that's fair.
So there's that.
But what this means is we have incredible content today.
Yeah.
We have an incredible number of things to decompress.
Mm-hmm.
None bigger than Apple opening its very first floating store. Top story. Number of people sent this to me. This was all over the Google News algorithms. The floating store, kind of reminiscent maybe of Apple's store in New York, the Fifth Avenue store. It's kind of just a shape. That one was a cube. This one's a sphere by the looks of it. But this one, I think it takes the cake because it's floating. It's on the water. So this is going to be built as part of the Marina Bay Sands Resort, which is that famous resort in Singapore. I'm sure you've seen the photos of that.
Yeah, very cool.
It's like the infinity pool, and just it's a really famous shape and view. Look at that thing.
The pool's up there.
The pool's up there.
Yeah.
I might have to go to Singapore to check it out, but this store will be a part of the complex. However, you'll be able to enter this store either by the boardwalk or from the shopping complex underground through a tunnel to head to your high-tech water Apple store, floating Apple store. Apple has hundreds of physical stores dotted around the world, serving as repair centers, community hubs. And now they can add this one to their list. And this one is going to be, I think if you're a mega Apple fan, this is going to be one of those ones you want to check off the list. Mm-hmm. If you're one of these people that visits these type of stores. Now, apparently, this spherical design is going to replace a shard-shaped crystal pavilion, which was there prior. And it used to be a nightclub, a nightclub on the water in Singapore. Sound like a type of time that you would be down for.
Great time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Apple, they sort of see themselves as some sort of a nightclub, some sort of a community hub. Maybe not at night as much, but they think they're just as cool. So they will revamp this pre-existing space and turn it into what they want. It's going to have some glass panels that will reflect Singapore's skyline during the day and glow like a lantern at night. The structure's shape informs an entirely new store layout. The eye-catching dome is Apple's third store in Singapore. It will obviously be the nicest one. And this is important as well, Will, because you know retail's been suffering because of the pandemic and the shutdowns. And so you're not hearing a lot of this. You're hearing of the big brands shutting down stores. Microsoft, they got out of the retail business. They're only going to keep like 3 experience type centers. Mm-hmm. But then you have Apple saying, no. We're going to do the floating store because we got that $2 trillion valuation and we got the liquid money flowing.
Yeah.
So we're just going to do,
we're
just going to do water stores now. Yeah. I got to say, it's pretty cool. I think if I ended up in Singapore, I would try to stay at that hotel and then I would try to go check out the floating store. Exciting times for Apple. At least on that front, exciting times for Apple. But now I got to take it the other direction because, my goodness, with the Fortnite stuff, you have an escalation going on with the Fortnite stuff and the Epic stuff. And
they're in court right now.
They're in court. And it's a war of words.
Yeah.
And they're going back and forth, as you would if you were in court. And now there's a claim from Apple that Epic was shoplifting from the App Store when they attempted to circumvent the payment structure, that they were shoplifting. And of course, your guy Tim Sweeney from Epic, he says, Apple, how dare you say we were shoplifting? And on top of that, they tried to imply, I suppose, that Epic was only in it for themselves. But then Sweeney came out with a statement and said, in his original letter to Apple, his quote was, we hope that Apple will also make these options equally available to all iOS developers. So Apple's case in court is Epic is big and powerful themselves. Epic understood the deal. Epic is out for itself just to get more money. And then Sweeney and Epic, they say, no, not so much. Well, definitely yes, but also we're fighting for terms for other developers and not just ourselves.
Yeah, and I think Unreal, the platform, is safe for now.
We're going to get to that later in the show.
Okay.
But that was
we're
a nice,
talking about lawsuits here.
That was, no, it was a nice little, I like it, Will.
All right.
So on his next tweet, if you just scroll down a little bit, it's the shoplifting tweet, and he actually appears to also post an image of a Fortnite character in a burglar outfit. Why is the burglar outfit stripes? Like the classic burglar outfit. Wouldn't that make them easier to see? Is that some kind of
like a
camo?
prison uniform?
But if you're a burglar, why would you want to call that out? Shouldn't it be all black? I mean, I'm sure there's a good reason for this. I don't think we can look into it right now. Someone's going to let us know in the comments, and we just really appreciate the fact that someone's going to tell us exactly why. But anyways, he says shoplifting, question mark, exclamation point. Come on, Apple. Your start was with the Apple II, an open platform that booted up to basic programming, language prompt. Freedom to create and install software is fundamental to general computing devices, and you're reduced to calling us shoplifters. So the war words heating up, and Sweeney from Epic appears to be kind of calling on the programming, the culture around programming and software and operating systems, and kind of making it bigger about the entire industry and less about Epic. And that would be an advantageous move, because now you're summoning anyone who cares about any of this to potentially side with you, who agrees with those fundamentals. The openness of, well, I mean, whether it's a piece of software or the internet or whatever, openness sells. It sounds great.
Yeah. Unite.
I can install whatever I want.
Apple.
I can build whatever I want because people can install whatever they want. And it's true on some platforms. That's the case. On iPhone, iOS, not so much. So we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out. But if you were wondering about the escalation, Apple quoted here, quoted calling Epic shoplifters. Now, they're also taking some heat over something that went on with WordPress. Are you familiar with WordPress, Will?
Yeah. I use WordPress.
Yeah, you
make
do
websites.
You do a blog back in the day.
Yeah.
And you boot up WordPress, don't you? Well, WordPress, they're still kicking it. They're still around and doing well, I presume. I mean, they had a huge user base, obviously.
They still do, yeah.
Massive install base of websites built on the backbone, WordPress backbone. Anyway, Apple once again got upset because WordPress was trying to advertise their premium subscriptions inside of their iOS app. Now, they weren't actually doing transactions out around, sort of circumventing the App Store policies, but instead they were advertising, hey, start up a subscription, go to our website. And start up a subscription, you'll get all these extra features, including extra features within the app. And at first, Apple sitting there very Epic-like saying, oh, you better smarten up, or we're going to give you the boot as well. And WordPress sitting there saying, well, we're just telling people that we do this other thing, and we want them to pay over here. And so Apple said, no. If you're going to sell that extra service and your install base, depending on iOS, we think you should have the option in there for a person to subscribe to that service through iOS. Right. Okay, this is the thing. But then people said, that's seeming a little bit extra. Is that what the kids say? Extra?
I think so.
Apple intended to prevent updates to the WordPress iOS app, which is free, until the project complied with its rule to enable in-app purchases. That move by Apple seemingly went against a recent policy update following a separate fight that Apple was having with the developers of the Hey email app, in which it blocked app updates until the startup enabled in-app purchases for its $99 annual subscription. So you see how this goes deeper, Will. Now you're not just saying if you're going to process a transaction inside of your iOS app, you must use the iOS policy, and it must that transaction must happen through the App Store. They're also saying if you sell a subscription that impacts your iOS app, even if that subscription takes place outside of the iOS app, we still don't want that. We still think that you should purchase it directly through. And that's where people said, oh, this is getting a bit squirrely. It's getting a bit slippery because holy moly, there's plenty of services you may have subscribed to outside of the app, and you may want that subscription to apply inside of the app. And but anyway, Apple felt they had a point, at least in the beginning, but now they backed off. And what does that showcase? Is Apple maybe easing up a little bit on some of the strict stuff? Because they backtracked. And I don't know if they apologized. The headline says Apple says sorry. Did they actually apologize? Let's find out. Apple issued the statement after key WordPress developer Matt Mullenweg detailed in a tweet that Apple planned to cut off updates and bug fixes unless the project committed to supporting in-app purchases for WordPress payment plans in the iOS app. And here's Apple's quote. Since the developer removed the display of their service payment options from the app, it is now a free standalone app and does not have to offer in-app purchases. So this is some sort of a policy, Will, where if you advertise that you do other business outside of the App Store, now you must enable in-app purchases. This one is more difficult than the Epic one, because Epic went the extra step and took your money directly within there through a separate payment processor. But this one I feel may rile up some of the audience members a little more, where you start to say, wow, they want a piece of everything. They want a piece of the outside stuff. They want, you put a banner, hey, we're having a sale on our site. Nah.
All the transactions have to go through Apple. Is it over?
I'm just saying it reaches pretty far, and you start to have a
branches.
Now, I know what Apple, look, if you're on the Apple side of it, I know what Apple would say. They'd say, well, you're trying to take somebody out of the app to have them transact elsewhere in exchange for they're going to have to supply you with information, and we feel this is unsafe. So they're going to create a policy across the board, because you can imagine, well, and it's my job to showcase both sides of the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. But you can imagine some nefarious app or app company. I'm not, for the record, I'm not necessarily on this side, because I know Tim Sweeney's watching and he's upset that I'm even presenting their side of it. But they're going to say, we want to process it because we know it's safe, because we have that user data and we are protecting that user's data when they do this transaction. But if we let these apps pull people off site or out of the iOS app, which we've approved of, now they're transacting, they're giving you their data, and they found out about you because of the App Store.
Right.
So therefore, we feel responsible for that user experience, even as it branches off of the App Store itself. I'm just giving you both sides, Will.
I hear you.
It's my job.
A lot of security issues.
It's my job. I got to give you both sides. Microsoft has weighed in on the situation, though. Microsoft has decided to back Epic Games' lawsuit versus Apple. I mean, not much of a surprise here, really. But you had a tweet from the guy himself, Xbox guy, Phil Spencer. He put out a tweet to show support for Epic Games and to request to keep access to the Unreal stuff, because that affects and impacts him as well. And he's already got the beef going on because he was trying to get his cloud gaming onto iOS and having all kinds of problems with Apple's various policies. Here's the tweet Today, we filed a statement in support of Epic's request to keep access to the Apple SDK for its Unreal Engine. Ensuring that Epic has access to the latest Apple technology is the right thing for game developers and gamers. All right? That's the tweet. There's a more detailed statement if you want to go one step deeper. But he is mostly on the Unreal situation. Less so on the Fortnite ban, but more so on the Unreal side because he's saying this is going to be catastrophic. He's saying this is going to have this wide-reaching impact, and it's going to impact developers large and small, or larger and smaller than that at least, as tremendous collateral damage. You just eliminate these tools completely. If Unreal Engine cannot support games for iOS or macOS, Microsoft would be required to choose between abandoning its customers and potential customers on the iOS and macOS platforms, or choosing a different game engine when preparing to develop new games, the document said. So he's saying, look, that's pretty harsh. We're going to abandon iOS. Are you really? Microsoft would be required to choose between abandoning its customers. Some pretty heavy stuff as well coming via Phil Spencer. But look, I can't say I'm surprised. It is Microsoft after all. They have their own beef going on. And this is the highest profile situation at the moment. So you're going to weigh in on it. It's better for Microsoft if Epic does well, or if Epic wins this dispute here, because Apple is a competitor of Microsoft at the same time, and they keep getting this 30% piece. And I'm sure it would be helpful to a number of developers if Apple figures out some type of flexibility.
Yes.
Whether it's for the cloud gaming service that they're trying to do, the games that they have that are associated with the Unreal Engine, or Fortnite, or Epic themselves. But anyway, he put out a statement, and he's choosing sides. Are you surprised, Will?
No. I think it's a pretty smart move.
That's the way to go. It's a big document. If you want to check it out for yourself. I don't know if we have any developers out here in this community. We probably got a couple, 5 or 6 developers. I want to know what they think as well, because they're deep in it. But this is the story you want to talk about.
Yeah.
A judge has actually weighed in on this situation.
Yeah.
You get the comments from Microsoft, right? You get the comments from Apple. You get the comments from Epic. The judge is uncertain on the actual Fortnite thing because it was so much more, more targeted the way that thing went down. Just enable the purchases in the thing. The Unreal Engine stuff and the developer tools is a bit more open-ended, and it seems like extra punishment from Apple. They're looking for extra ways to hurt Epic. That's the way it feels. They would suggest otherwise. But a judge comes in here, and he's ruling on a temporary restraining order that Epic Games was positioning against Apple, because they were saying, look, if this stuff is eliminated immediately right now, the impact might be too much to overcome long term for our various developers who work via our tools and Unreal Engine and everything else. So they just said, look, fine, we'll have a court case here, but in the meantime, let's do a little temporary pause button and not take it to that level. And this particular judge agrees. The court finds that with respect to Epic Games' motion as to its games, including Fortnite, Epic Games has not yet demonstrated irreparable harm. The current predicament appears of its own making. So that's the Epic piece, or the Fortnite piece, where they're saying you created the problem, at least partially. You, how much could it have hurt you if you could have predicted that outcome? But then on the flip side, with the Unreal, Epic Games and Apple are at liberty to litigate against each other, but their dispute should not create havoc to bystanders. You see, the bystander piece is the big one.
Yes.
Because if I'm a judge, I'm sitting thinking, what do these people have to do with it? What do these bystanders, the other developers, they have businesses and potentially employees. You're going to shut them down immediately if they lose Unreal.
Yes. And
is that beneficial to either of the parties involved? And probably not. It's probably not beneficial to anyone, probably not beneficial to customers or anybody. So they're going to go ahead. This judge is going to protect Unreal Engine for the time being, however temporary that happens to be. But that is a kind of mini little win for Epic, that maybe there's more here. It's not going to be an open and shut, quick type of deal because they at least have a judge considering collateral damage at this point, considering Unreal as almost a platform and not as an isolated thing only impacting this one company.
And you got to think like, the other game engine, which is really popular called Unity, you don't want Unreal developers to hop on board Unity, or just kind of making a big move on it. So it's nice that this lawsuit is put on hold, at least for Unreal,
Judge Rogers had already indicated that she was more swayed by the apparent threat to the Unreal Engine. I'm not inclined to grant relief with respect to the games, Fortnite, she said at the opening hearing, but I am inclined to grant relief with respect to the Unreal Engine. So shout out to this particular judge. She's keeping Unreal alive for the time being. I have to say, though, Will, if I'm relying heavily on Unreal at the moment, I had to be a little concerned because it's up in the air a bit. Now, I don't know what's involved in transitioning to these other engines or just abandoning projects and building them on other engines. I have to assume that's an incredibly complicated task.
Oh, yeah.
In which case, it may not even be feasible for some developers, in which case this is a major win for that group of people. Tencent, some positive news for Tencent. They gained $37 billion after U.S. reassures on the WeChat ban. So the TikTok ban got a lot more press than the WeChat ban, or the discussion around the WeChat ban, although WeChat, tremendously useful app for individuals in China and elsewhere, and a tremendous footprint, billion users. And people were really curious about how far-reaching a ban around WeChat could be and transactions with WeChat, because WeChat is Tencent. And it was all very difficult to follow. However, they're doing okay right now, and they kind of bounced back because the Trump team reassured certain large-scale corporations like Apple and others. Disney was asking about it, if you recall. We covered it. There was a story about that. I think Walmart was asking. So once WeChat got into the conversation about a potential ban and a lack of ability to have transactions via WeChat, every company that has any kind of interest in China picked up the phone and said to Trump, dude, that's money.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's money for us that's coming into the country. That's because I don't know if you're selling a movie ticket in WeChat or if your operations over there utilize WeChat for how they interact with one another. Your sales teams might be transacting with WeChat, and you're saying this is going to be very detrimental to our revenue, and that revenue, a portion of it, ends up back in the U.S. anyways. And they go and show Trump the paperwork. They're like, look, Disney's like, look at our ticket sales in China, or whoever it might be. Or Apple says, look, we're one of the few companies selling smartphones over there.
It's right there.
And so Trump responds. It's right there. Trump responds, I guess, and I don't know if it's an official. I don't think it was in any kind of official announcement. Let's see here. Company management earlier this month sought to reassure investors that the executive order signed by President Donald Trump may apply only to WeChat's overseas operation, that maybe it would only impact WeChat usage within the United States. Trump ignited a furor after signing the order to ban U.S. entities from dealing with WeChat. Confusion reigned as investors grappled with the sweeping language. So a lot of the initial fear had to do with details around the scope and the scale of the ban. Intense lobbying by representatives of U.S. businesses such as, here they are, Walmart, General Motors, Best Buy, and Target. They reinforced the indispensability of WeChat for reaching consumers in China. So it is pretty much what I said. Of course, I paraphrased and I made it a little bit more fun as far as these companies picking up the phone. But that's essentially what it is. If American companies are doing well, earning Chinese money, and then that money making its way back to the U.S., then that's something you would assume Trump would be interested in. See, the true target for a lot of this action it's economic. You have the politics, but you have the economics as well. And in the case of, say, ByteDance, yeah, they hired some people in the U.S., but primarily that revenue is going to flow back in that direction, and that revenue is going to be generated from the U.S. customer base.
And also employees working at the company, U.S., so there's people there that are just working in the U.S. It's more jobs.
Yeah, you have the jobs piece. No, definitely the jobs piece exists whether you're ByteDance or any of these companies, but these companies, it's a much easier path to follow. To say, this is extra revenue right here, flowing in this direction. You can put the number down and say...
straight up dollar signs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas in the ByteDance case, it's a bit more convoluted because you had to figure out the percentage of revenue, who's gaining more, China or us, if you're the U.S. and we're in Canada. So we get to say whatever we want.
Oh, yeah.
That's the beauty of it. See, we're protected by the maple syrup fortress.
Can't penetrate it.
Maple trees.
It's too sticky.
Yeah, maple trees.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Tencent is loving it right now. They're saying, sweet. They're saying Disney and Walmart love WeChat. So we're set. We'll be okay. Because they got the phone line all the way straight through to Trump. Foxconn, on the other hand, they're not feeling China as much. The Taiwanese brands, Foxconn, Pegatron. We talked about how they had been considering and acting upon the distribution of their network of facilities around the world, rapidly migrating away from China as the world's factory, famously quoted. Was it the founder, president of Foxconn, famously quoted as saying, China will no longer be the world's factory. Well, anyways, they started to talk about South America. Obviously, there's the whatever fiasco is going on in Wisconsin. The India stuff appears to be real, but the latest one is Mexico. So I didn't know this, but apparently there's some sort of a push from the U.S. to have manufacturing as close by as possible, even if it's not in the U.S., so that Mexico would be some sort of an improvement as opposed to going all the way overseas or somewhere further away. And so obviously Mexico represents an opportunity in that sense. And you also have, I guess, relatively affordable labor over there. I guess you're going to have, if the product is destined for the U.S. market, you're going to have less shipping expenditure. Logistics expenditure, presumably. I mean, I don't know what portion of the assembly would take place there. You still have to bring components and whatnot. But apparently both Foxconn and Pegatron are currently considering this. They've targeted a couple different areas. Pegatron is also in early discussions with lenders about an additional facility in Mexico, mainly to assemble chips and other electronic components. Foxconn currently has 5 factories in Mexico, mainly currently making televisions and servers. But they want to expand, underscoring a broader and gradual shift of global supply chains away from China. Yes, here it is. The plans come as the idea of nearshoring gains ground in Washington. Trump administration exploring financial incentives to encourage firms to move production facilities from Asia to either the United States, Latin America, or the Caribbean. Now, I presume this is because there's better political alliances between those groups. And I mean, the term nearshoring is kind of interesting. You can do it out of the country. It doesn't have to be American made or assembled, but let's get it pretty close. I wonder why Canada's not in that list. We're too busy. We're trapped in the maple syrup forest or whatever we talked about earlier.
They can't get in.
They can't get in.
They keep knocking on our door.
They can't. I mean, come try the border. You'll see. As soon as you step off the plane, you're gonna get all tangled up. It's just gonna be maple syrup and ice rinks that you're slipping on. Yeah, what are we doing, Will? Is this Canadian content now? Foxconn chairman Li Young-wei told it in an investor conference in Taipei on August 12th, the world was split into G2. That's what he called it. 2 groups. following Sino-US tensions, saying his firm was working on providing 2 sets of supply chains to service the 2 markets. A G2 world.
Jeez.
Anyway, yeah, this guy's making a lot. He's making a lot of news. Foxconn unit Sharp has already stepped up their television production in Mexico. Foxconn bought Sharp a while ago, formerly Japanese company. Have you ever owned a Sharp product?
I did. A couple TVs.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Look at you.
They're sharp.
Pixel 4a 5G and Pixel 5 with 4,000 milliamp hour battery leak in a live image with alleged specs. Some people are upset. They're saying, how can the Pixel 5, I think Marquez tweeted about it, how can the Pixel 5 not have weaker performance than the Pixel 4?
Their branding is
it's all confusing.
So off the wall.
So I don't mind the idea of going straight budget and leaving the flagship stuff to the players that are already there, particularly in 2020, where there's so much demand for budget stuff and value stuff, and the value stuff is performing well. So I don't mind it, but yeah, the naming is the problem, because then it's, well, wait, the Pixel, like, how do you and when do you make that transition? And then the fact that they've got this other 4A 5G that's going to be available. We've covered this. So anyways, here are the specs for these presumably budget devices or more budget devices. The Pixel 5, 4,000 milliamp hour battery, 0.5x wide lens, 1x standard lens, same as the Pixel 4, 12.2 megapixels. Snapdragon 765G is going to be the chip of choice for the smaller of the 2 units, which is supposedly the Pixel 5. 8 gigs of RAM, which is a little bit more than some people had suspected. Display will be capable of 60 hertz or 90 hertz. It will be a plastic back, no audio jack, and have the fingerprint scanner on the back as well. Though you can see there's some unusual texture in this image on top of the plastic back on the smaller unit. If you shift over, this is where things get really weird, to the Pixel 4a 5G, which is the bigger unit of the two. Typically, when you go to the bigger phone, you get a bigger battery. But here, you get a smaller battery, 3,800 milliamp hours, compared to the Pixel 5, the shrunken model, which has a 4,000. It's so weird. The camera looks to be the same. The chip will be the same, 765G. It'll have 6 gig of RAM instead of 8, and a 60 hertz screen only. Everything else basically looks the same. And presumably the price may start at the same, which would make things even equally confusing. $499. We have to wait and see. I guess you might be able to sell the Pixel 5 for a little bit more. There's rumors about the price starting at the same for both. But looking at this, if they do start at the same price, I don't care. I would have to pick the 90 hertz screen and the extra RAM myself, and the bigger battery. I don't know who's going to pick the 5G 4A. It really only has a bigger display, and then it suffers elsewhere.
Right.
So it's, confusing branding, but you can catch a look at them. They're the most basic looking things of all time. They're the most slabby of the slabs.
What do you think is going to cost more?
Oh, I think they might both start at $499. Is that insane?
No, not at all. It's so confusing.
I don't know. Or could it be $499 and $549? Yeah, it's Google frequently does a great job of confusing people with this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. How could we fix this?
Or this could all be a rumor and completely fake.
Right. And then they'll sort everything out?
Yeah.
Well, let's presume that it's not. How could we have fixed the situation? What would we have done? We would have done...
Forget about the 4A. Just have the
Pixel 5 and Pixel 5 XL?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like they've done in the past.
Right. They were trying to get the cost down, though. Because I presume if they had done the 5 XL with a 90 hertz display at that size and 8 gigs of RAM, which you would have needed to do in order for it to be comparable to the regular 5, but have the XL moniker, then maybe that price gets to a place that they don't like in 2020.
Just forget about the A line.
I like how you're forgetting about so many things.
Yeah,
you're just telling them to just forget about it.
You know?
And do what? Light?
Just start over. Just stick with the Pixel 5, 5 XL, and then just have that as a budget option.
Interesting. But then that kind of limits their ability in the future to have the two simultaneous lines if they ever wanted to do that again.
Then have the Pro
So go with the
Pro
Pro.
model.
You prefer the Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. XL is weird. I was never a huge fan of XL. I actually prefer Plus to XL.
Right. Yeah.
But
I
anyways,
agree.
whatever. We can't fix it. That's the word on the street at the moment. You guys tell me in the comments if they do start at the same price. Would you pick the bigger display with the weaker specs, or would you pick the Pixel 5 with the better specs and the smaller display? This is your story. You sent this to me. This was interesting. Samsung's Find My Mobile feature now working with offline devices. This is really interesting the way they did this, because this Find My Device situation is only as good on many manufacturers as a device that's connected to the web. And that's not always the case. Mm-hmm. So what this one does is it uses almost like a mesh network of other Samsung devices in range to ping you. And I think Tile used a similar technology. They were the ones with those little tags that you could put in your luggage, and it would be this, this mesh network would help you find the thing when you lost it, because your luggage typically doesn't connect to the internet on its own. I mean, I don't know about your luggage, Will. You probably got that high-tech stuff.
I'm still working on it.
So this is a nice little additional thing. It was spotted by Max Weinbeck on Twitter. He says, looks like Samsung just added offline finding to Samsung's Find My Mobile. It lets you track your phone, even if it doesn't have Wi-Fi or cellular. So if someone yanks the SIM card out of it, but they're goofing around playing video games, as you would if you stole a phone or something. The feature is not enabled by default, and you can disable it in your settings. So you turn it on because, I don't know, you may have the privacy concerns. Because then all these other phones can pick up the location of your phone without... So if you have the privacy concerns, you can leave it off. But if you want to take part in the giant Galaxy mesh network, you can do that too. Maybe you can also turn it on and off depending if you're traveling.
Does that mean other Galaxy devices have to have this turned on to create the mesh?
Correct. But the thing is, you don't need that many, right, to get pinged. If anyone in that city, the more the better. But there's a lot of Galaxy devices out there.
That's true.
And you don't need that many people to be logged in to catch that ping.
Interesting. So it'll find your location or the phone's location, like the direct point, or is it like a triangle?
It'll be an approximation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I honestly, I remember I've heard so many stories of people using this functionality on Tile, and crazy stories of people getting their bags back just because they were able to figure out the rough location. I don't remember who it was on Twitter, but they left their bag on a train and were able to follow it to know which station to go to, because someone else had the tracing enabled or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So anyways, this is a pretty cool thing. Sticking with Samsung, they've designed a super rugged tactical smartphone. This is the S20 Tactical Edition. I don't know. It may very well be the most rugged smartphone ever of all time. I'm not really sure. But this thing, it kind of looks like a Galaxy S series slammed in and crammed into an OtterBox on steroids. It looks like it's made out of some sort of an alloy. It's military grade. And it's a smartphone developed for the Department of Defense and the federal government. You actually can't just go out and buy one of these, Will. Although it would be cool. Maybe you should talk to Samsung and we should do an unboxing video, and we'll send it right back, because we are obviously not the Department of Defense in any way. This will, because it currently is only available through specific vendors. Here's some of the features. It can connect to tactical radios to keep communications open. So you could go straight radio if the network is down. There's a variety of durable cases and hubs that fit into the tactical kit. You can follow along with me if you scroll down here, Will. There's images for each feature, because we can thank Business Insider for the wonderful formatting. It can support drone feeds and laser rangefinders for an overview of your mission. It can easily connect to a monitor for planning purposes. I don't know what you're planning, Will.
You don't want to know.
The smart battery optimizes app power to conserve energy. That thing's you're going to have a big battery in there. And then I like this image, actually. If you scroll down, The guy has a weird tactical kind of, it's not weird, it actually looks really useful. Almost like a GoPro mount to his chest with the phone. It has a special button on the side that can quick launch mission applications.
Oh.
It can work with gloved hands as you would have if you were part of the military. And it's enabled for classified communication by the NSA. It's very encrypted, heavily encrypted. Medics can use it. It's pretty cool, but it's very specific. I just like the name of it, the sound of it. The Galaxy S20 Tactical Edition.
Yeah.
Imagine on Unbox Therapy, Galaxy S20 Tactical Edition unboxing.
You're wearing the vest?
Yeah, I might get dressed up for that. And the audience would be like, I never heard of no tactical edition. What exactly is that? And then I could beat the thing up. I could, have a drop it and dip it and dunk it and set up my missions in the video. You. That's me. I could have the vest and hook it on with the attachments.
Cool.
Flight sticks are selling out after the release of Microsoft Flight Simulator. So your favorite portion of the show, Simulator Talk. Simulator Talk with Willie Doo.
Baby.
You told me something really weird today.
What is that?
That you love to watch the flight simulator, but you don't want to play the flight simulator.
I mean, I'll definitely try it.
Explain yourself, Willie Doo.
I feel like with the simulator, you have to have the right equipment. I got to talk to Microsoft and get like a flight stick.
Yeah, because you can't buy one because they're sold out.
Yeah, apparently.
Because the simulator, it popped off after 37 years, which you wanted to correct for me, which was, you said, no, they had a simulator in 2006. And then I actually looked it up, and there was a simulator in 2012 as well, right? Mm-hmm. So they've done simulators, but it has been a while. It's been, a decade or something.
Yeah. But it's nice to see other people actually figuring out the game. It's kind of rewarding in that sense that you kind of see like, oh yeah, I don't have to handle the crazy technical side of things. You can just watch it, as it is. So
yeah, no, I hear you, man. Especially from the relaxation standpoint.
You kind of take a back seat.
The relaxation standpoint, I totally hear you, man. The hum of the cabin in the plane and the dials, and I understand that, but I want to try it.
You want to try it?
I feel I want to get behind I got to give it a shot.
Okay, well.
I'm not saying I'm going to do a real-time Toronto to Tokyo.
Yeah.
But I just want to do one landing.
Okay. Yeah, we'll make it happen.
But anyways, you're not going to buy a flight stick to play this game. This game was wildly popular. They got a bunch they're pent up. The simulator guys are pent up. 8 years ago. And this one's way better. This one looks amazing. And so you got these things are selling out. All of Amazon.com's best-selling PC flight sticks. Click on that. Yeah, let's see what we can get right now. Best sellers. Top left. Let's see that guy. That's what everyone dreams of. The Thrustmaster.
Oh, yeah.
Sold out. Number one bestseller. Sold out.
Wow, look at this model name.
You will do no thrusting. You will not be a Thrustmaster for the time being. You will wait for stock to return. Okay, go back to that last page. Let's do the number 2 spot. Another Thrustmaster. Sold out. Nope. You buy it used.
Ew.
In stock used. Yikes. So they're right. These things are tough to get right now, which is weird. And maybe it's pandemic related, because if I'm Thrustmaster and I know that Flight Simulator 2020 is on the horizon, I'm ramping up production. Mm-hmm. But I guess maybe the demand has outpaced their expectations. It's quite possible. Now, thanks to The Verge here, we can get these things in other places other than Amazon, where people went to first. You can find some of these on Best Buy as well. And Dell has some stock of the Thrustmaster equipment as well, if you want to go that route.
Great.
So there is a way to get it, but it's like webcams. Remember we were talking about webcams?
Yeah, shortage of Logitech webcams, or just all webcams?
Logitech was having a shortage. They're just the big boys.
Yeah.
in the webcam space. But yeah, people are at home. They're chilling. They got their new flight simulator. Like a lot of this is people got time. I mean, I don't know how you're going to do Toronto to Tokyo without time. You're going to need some time. So people got time, so they pick up a Thrustmaster, a Flight Simulator 2020, or they're like Willie Do and they just watch someone else do it. I don't know.
Yeah. Popcorn and YouTube.
This guy says that Tesla is unstoppable, but he does put a question mark. This girl, Barbara Kohlmeyer, get it straight, Lou. Get it together. Dare you. Tesla shares may be headed for $3,500, says analyst. See, this is one of those things where it's a writer who's quoting an analyst. So the analyst is a guy, but the writer is a girl. So get it together, Lou. Why don't you read it in advance? Brutal. What is this show? Horrendous. I will not stand for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, Market Watch. Apparently, you know what a lot of it is, Will? It's what they're doing in China. The Model 3 is crushing in China. And people are saying, what's the actual demand? Has it been reached? There's a lot of car demand in China unmet. People want EVs. They do the Shanghai plant. Now, the share already went past $2,000. It's astronomical. It's crazy. And now they got this call of the day from Tesla's biggest fan, who says his new best case scenario for the stock is $3,500. That's a long way to go still. He compares Tesla to an ounce of gold. The Tesla share is now worth more than an ounce of gold. At the low in 2011, it was 0.02 ounces per share. You like the gold analysis there, Will? An ounce of gold or a Tesla share? Which one would you take? Right now, today.
That's tough. I would still have to go with gold.
You take the gold today.
Precious metals.
Yeah, but Will, Tesla's going to go to 3,500. Is gold going to go to 3,500?
I'm playing the long game here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So in the long game, you want gold or Tesla?
Still gold.
Still gold. All right. Long-term, Willie Do goes gold.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tesla, you sent me this one. The Tesla Cyberquad DIY electric ATV.
Fun.
This is not a project I expected to see. At first, I was wondering, is this just a gas-powered ATV made to look like the Cyberquad from Tesla?
No.
But no, it's an actual electric retrofit, and it is fast. It is absolutely insane. It is a used Yamaha Raptor ATV converted to electric with a zero motorcycle electric motor. You hear all that? It'll go 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. It took 300 hours to build. And it's way faster than the original gas-powered thing that they converted. That was 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds. They're achieving a top speed of 102.5 miles per hour. Is that safe, Will, at all? Look at this thing flying.
Not safe, but quite fun, probably.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
And quiet.
Electric.
Very quiet.
Electric.
Yeah.
So, to be clear, it's a DIY. This is not the actual Cyberquad. Will the performance of the Cyberquad be similar? Who knows? They did have to weld a bunch of sheet metal. Actually, the original plan was just to take the Yamaha Raptor and just make it electric. And then they got ambitious along the way, and they said, why don't we just, all we need is a little sheet metal, and then we got the Cyberquad. So,
and it looks just like it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you got the guys that are doing the DIY Cyber trucks. Now we got the DIY Cyberquad.
Very cool.
And that thing's flying. Tesla fights back against owners hacking their cars to unlock performance boost. I don't know if you knew this, Will, but there's some of the things in the Tesla vehicles as far as performance is concerned are just simply software limited.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how they sell different models with similar components. And so For example, you have a 50 horsepower performance improvement in the Model 3 that shortens the 0 to 60 time to 3.9 seconds. Now, this is currently sold as a $2,000 acceleration boost. But people, hackers, figured out it's just a software thing. We can get this 50 horsepower, no problem. And so people, of course, they did it. All that Model 3 owners had to do is plug in a connector to their MCU and they would automatically get the 50 horsepower boost, plus a few other features, including drift mode. So they just plugged this little guy in and they got all these features that would have cost them a lot of money. Well, Tesla can't be happy about that because they're trying to sell the thing. And so a lot of people who were involved in it, by the way, sort of recognized that it was do at your own risk. Like, this is probably not going to work forever. And so this software update effectively broke these performance improvements. And it goes a step further. It actually put this nasty notification on the main screen that you can't get rid of.
Uh-oh.
If you have these modifications installed and the notification says, incomplete vehicle modification detected, potential risk of damage or shutdown. It's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Make you feel like
severe.
Make you feel like a real jerk for doing it. So it's some company that was actually, I believe, that was selling this thing. But what was the name of it?
So they actually hacked it and sold it for
Is that right?
a cheaper price.
Is that right, Will?
Do you
Yes, the company's called InGen Next. And InGen Next told Electric that Tesla patched their update of the driver inverter software, unlocking the capacity in the software update 2020-32.1. He said he sent a notification to his clients. In other words, yes, they bought something from him, warning them not to update. And only 3 customers updated their cars before seeing the update. So yeah, I guess this is one of those things you can get around the patch if you refuse to update. Also, the guy behind the company says he'll figure out a patch to their patch. In which case,
This is like the early days of unlocking an iPhone using like Cydia or something.
Cydia, Pineapple,
Yeah.
all that
Where
stuff.
you have to hold the hard reset.
Yes, and it was always the updates that broke everything. It was similar when I was into the Hackintosh stuff, or even before that, the satellite codes. Did you ever mess with that? It's very similar. You could get like the satellite cards, and I mean, I didn't really do it, but I was aware of it. I had friends that did.
It's this article is interesting because it will maybe come to the point where there will be patches over patches, and then the way of hacking is literally just plugging like a USB into like, you know, your car, and then it's fully
Unlocked.
all the features are already there, and
Yeah, the website is
it so easy.
ingennext.ca, and I'm not suggesting you buy the thing, but what's interesting is the module costs $1,433 to unlock the power increase of 50 horsepower. And the product will only work if you have the Tesla Model 3 dual motor. It doesn't work on standard range or long range. I don't know. You can check it out for yourself, but it feels like it's not a huge price difference between this, just getting buying the upgrade from Tesla directly. You're saving like $600, I guess. Improves throttle sensitivity, reduced response time. Yeah.
it's Canadian too.
It's .ca. I know, that was interesting. But anyways, whatever. You can check it out. You can decide for yourself, but you have to believe that Tesla's not going to be happy with it, and it's going to continue to be a do-at-your-own-risk type of thing. You know, we've been talking about that upcoming TRX truck, that insane 702 horsepower vehicle that Ram is going to put out. So Ford had to respond because they have the Raptor line, which is supposed to be the performance truck of your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing, it hasn't had a V8 engine in a while, and it certainly hasn't had 700 plus horsepower in a while, ever. And so they got to go back to the drawing board, and apparently they're going to pull an engine from the GT500 vehicle that they do, which is a V8 engine And they apparently are going to beat the 702 horsepower on the TRX, potentially delivering between 700 and 750?
725 and 750.
725 and 750, which is interesting because the current 5.2 liter supercharged V8 makes 700 from the 2020 Mustang GT500. So are they going to get even more power out of it? Maybe. The source inside claims that the next Raptor could have a supercharged V8 making between 725 and 750 horsepower. So now you have the horsepower wars with the trucks. They had the horsepower wars going for a while. You had the Dodge Hellcat, Challenger, Charger, and they're going head-to-head to horsepower wars against these GT500s, and it just makes its way into the pickup trucks, which is kind of a bit of fun, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's a huge power increase for the Raptor, which is currently using a 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6 that makes 450 horsepower. It's a lot of extra horsepower. Mm-hmm. So get ready for all the quick trucks, and if you're a Ford fan, you're not being left in the dust. Ford's going to respond. It may take a little while. You may have to get that TRX in the meantime.
Yeah. How crazy would it be just to have like a tug of war with these trucks here?
TRX versus next-gen Raptor tug of war.
Like a cage match.
A torque-off.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. And then can we throw a Cybertruck in there? And
for sure.
Rivian and whatever else? You sent me this one, Will. Live from IIT Bombay, virtual convocation. We have, due to the lockdown, a substitute for a real life graduation from a program, in this case, computer science and engineering. And instead, we have a video game-like type of experience where you get to live out your graduation. You can roll the clip here, Will. You walk up. I guess these are the professors. You got the medal. You get the zoom in. You get the little smile at the end. And that's how you know you've made it. Boom. Convocation, graduation. Now, do they do a virtual avatar for each student? That would be a lot of work.
That's what I read, yeah. They do like a face scanning and then project it onto like a 3D model. And there's your body.
Is it live? Do you send the video clip to your friends and family?
You could, yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
You could, and you probably would.
Individual clip, and then you can just send it to whoever.
You can do whatever you want. I mean, it all feels very official when you see yourself in the virtual realm there. India produces 1.5 million engineers every year, 8 times the number produced in the U.S. India's standard in engineering, established by IIT, and is apparent on the world stage. 15 of 16 members of Blackstone's private equity team are IITians. I guess they came through this particular program that this individual just graduated getting that medal. It's a very special medal, Will. You and I would know nothing about it.
No.
But that's a lot. I mean, 1.5 million engineers every year?
Well,
we got 35 million people in this country.
Yeah.
1.5 million
They're
engineers.
producing a lot of engineers.
1.5 million engineers every year, and then they all got to do the virtual avatar for every single one.
Oh. Yeah. Well,
You see what I'm saying? This is
maybe
tough.
it's just for like a small batch,
You got to, yeah.
but
Do you pay a little extra? I want my virtual convocation. I think people should go for it. I mean, obviously, you can't get in the big crowd right now, and this is a kind of a fun thing to have. My virtual but could they have had a crowd cheering or
they could.
But then again, we're just getting a short clip here. It's 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe the extended cut. There's a crowd cheering.
They show everyone?
Maybe.
Yeah.
We have lots of ideas here, but everything's going virtual in the future. So even the graduation or convocation goes virtual.
Cool.
All right. Well, last story of the day, and this is another one you sent me. You're just on fire because it was the Saturday and the Sunday and then the Monday.
Yeah.
So you're on fire, and you just said, listen, Lou, you have to watch the official trailer to the Batman, which is Rob Pattinson,
Yeah.
which is best known for the Twilight stuff.
Twilight, yeah.
Oh,
He
something
was
else?
on
Did you think of something else?
Harry Potter and some other.
He did the Harry Potter
flicks.
as well?
He was in one of them.
Oh, okay.
He was a really popular guy.
Well, you know more than me.
Not by much.
You know more than me. Anyway, he was in. I remember when the discussion started in the mix for the Batman role, and people were like, "Is he a little young for the Batman role?" And then they were saying, "No, look when this guy started, he was this age and everything else." But anyways, we have the official trailer. I have not watched it. I don't know how you're going to show it without Copyright City.
Yeah, we're dead.
Do you have a way of doing this?
I mean, yeah.
Okay. All right. Whatever you think, man. If you think
you know.
you can sort it out and get it done, what are you going to do? Transparency? What's your plan here?
Transparency, maybe a little bit of volume.
All right. Let's give it a shot.
Okay.
The Batman official trailer. Many millions of views here. Ooh. Ooh. Dark. Adult Batman. No more lies. Duct tape. I'm enjoying a soundtrack. Oh, we got Nirvana on this?
Mm-hmm.
We got Nirvana on the soundtrack? Stop it. You can't play that?
Oh, we're dead? Are we
No, you
dead?
play it quiet just so I can hear it. We got Nirvana on the track? Sheesh. That's some big time stuff. To the Batman. Well, they're definitely staying dark with it, I'll tell you what. It's all new. It's all new, people.
Mm-hmm.
It's all new, man. You got to get the fight. You got to get a little fight scene in there. You cut the music. Got a new Batmobile, Will.
Remember how we talked about how cool that was?
It's like a throwback Batmobile.
Yeah.
It's like a muscle car style. Ooh, they got the Nirvana remix. So dark. He wasn't in the trailer a ton. It wasn't a lot of Pattinson.
Mm-hmm.
It was like behind, you had the hair and the black makeup on the eyes. Kind of, it's a trailer, you know, kind of Joker-y vibes.
Well, this one is concentrating on the Riddler.
No, I just meant the Joker movie, the same tone.
Oh, yeah. The same style.
Just a very adult feeling.
Uh-huh.
Is this going to be a big trilogy thing like the last Nolan stuff? Or does it depend
seems
how
like
it goes? Or
I don't think this is a one-off. I think they put their eggs in this basket.
eggs are in the basket right now?
It's in there with Pattinson.
Well, look, they got me on the nostalgic thing with the Nirvana stuff. I love how dark. I love that they don't give anything away in the trailer. That's very well done.
Yeah, apparently there's like a riddle in this trailer.
There's a riddle in the trailer.
And people, kind of solved it already, but
Of course there is.
it's cool. It seems like they wanted to go with a younger Batman, and with Pattinson, they
They
did a
got
pretty good
themselves a
job.
younger Batman.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to remain optimistic. I'm not one of these guys that's going to look at a trailer and condemn a thing. It's going to take me a
hate
minute.
it?
What's that?
You hate it?
No.
Oh,
No, I'm saying it's going to take me a while to get used to a new Batman because I just recently recapped on the Christian Bale stuff.
Yeah.
I just recently recapped the Christopher Nolan stuff. Yeah. So I got to reframe it, and it's always been the case. I grew up on the Michael Keaton stuff. It's always been the case. You got to transition. You got the good and the bad. I don't think anybody was into the Clooney stuff.
I'm sure there's a few people.
Kirk was into the Clooney stuff? Why do you look at me like that? Oh, you know what? Maybe there's somebody who was into the Clooney stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, the point being here, Will, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to remain open-minded. This stuff is hard when there's so much baggage with a brand like that. And there's feelings. It's a lot of feelings, Will.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of feelings. You see what happened with Halo?
Yeah.
The Halo situation is a lot of feelings and pressure. I mean, this is different. It's a movie. You make the movie. But it's going to be a lot of eyeballs scrutinizing. And I'm going to try to stay open because I know how hard the process is to take a franchise like this and do something that's going to be satisfactory to everybody.
Yeah.
But the tone of it has me piqued a little bit.
Right.
The tone of it has me interested. And you know they spent some money on that track as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to need to sell some tickets. So they need the world to cool off with the lockdown stuff. And they need to sell some tickets. So when do we even get this movie, by the way?
That's a great question.
By the way, in the description here, it does say franchise reboot. You got Robert Pattinson. You got Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. You got Colin Farrell as Penguin. You got Paul Dano as Riddler. You got Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon. I think they're going for it here, Will.
Wow. Schedule release. I didn't know this.
October 1st.
No, 2021.
Oh, wow.
That's a ways off.
You see how they're taking their time with this situation right now?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're getting this a really early trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Really early trailer. So don't get too fired up right now.
Yeah.
That's the lesson of the day. Don't get too fired up. Not right now.